The Legend of Zelda, or as it was first known as, the Hyrule Fantasy, was a revolution for the gaming industry. Whether you're the world's biggest fan or absolutely hate the game, you can't deny its place as one of the most influential games to ever exist. For example, it was the very first open world game. It is thought to be the first to use a true save file system and the first to offer a complete second quest after completing the first. These are just a few common known facts about the first Zelda game though, but in this video, I'm going to cover some of the biggest facts that new fans of the series or the common gamer may not know. If you're as big of a fan as I am, then there probably aren't many things about the series that you don't know. For example, just like the few facts I listed at the start of this video, most fans already know. The concept for the Zelda series came from Miyamoto exploring the forest and caves that he would come across during his childhood. So we're going to focus on the lesser known and more interesting facts, focusing on the original NES and Famicom game. Now, all I want to know is, will I get sued if I start this off with, did you know? Anyways, did you know the original game went through several changes before it was finally finished? One of Miyamoto's first concepts for the game made use of the disk system add-on for the Famicom and allowed players to create their own dungeon. You could then remove the floppy disk, take it to a friend's house, and have them play through your set of dungeons. Miyamoto and others at Nintendo thought the concept would be too much for the average player to fully comprehend, and may have lessened the overall experience of the game. So the idea was scrapped, but would be brought back almost 30 years later for Mario Maker on the Wii U. The concept of building your own levels has been praised so much that other franchises, like Pac-Man, are receiving their own version of the level designer. This wasn't the only change to the Hyrule Fantasy as it was first known. The original story would have been more of a sci-fi story. The Triforce pieces would have instead been computer chips. The game was to be set in both the past and the future, and you playing as the hero would be the link between the past and the present, which is how Link's original name came to be. The heavy focus on this time travel mechanic was later used in Ocarina of Time and several other games in the Zelda franchise. The first Zelda and Mario games were being developed alongside each other. Miyamoto and his team would brainstorm new gameplay mechanics and decide which game would be able to use them better. This way, the two games, although being developed at the same time, would feel completely different from one another. Zelda and Mario were developed to be opposites of each other. Mario would be a side-scrolling game where you would jump and run to complete levels. Each level would be its own isolated experience, whereas in the Hyrule Fantasy, or Zelda, Link would not be able to run or jump, and instead of individual levels, the game would feature a giant connecting world to explore. During early development, Miyamoto took away the sword as punishment for gamer complaints. When Miyamoto caught wind that early test players were disgruntled by confusing gameplay and unclear objectives, he decided to up the ante by forcing players to earn Link's sword via a triumph over a complicated cave level before beginning the actual adventure. Miyamoto predicted that such a mystery would give a clear first mission and prompt communication between individual players, with successful strategies spreading by word of mouth. Nintendo almost went with a different theme song. The game's creator originally intended to use French composer Maurice Raval's, hopefully I didn't mispronounce that, composition of Bolero. They would use it for the score of the game, but Nintendo couldn't get the rights to the song. So instead, they had Koji Kondo, Nintendo's composer at the time, to create what is now one of the gaming industry's most iconic songs. The world record for completing The Legend of Zelda is held by Lakatak24 at 28 minutes and 47 seconds. Don't ask me how, it probably takes me twice as long just to reach the second dungeon. Nintendo attempted several different times to remake the original Zelda game, a few of which I'll get into now, and maybe I'll cover the rest in a future video. To begin, Oracle of Ages and Seasons both started out as Nintendo and Capcom working together to remake or port the original game to the Game Boy Color. During development, they decided a brand new game made specifically for the hardware would be better than trying to make an older game work on new hardware. This is also the reason as to why the map of Holodrum resembled the original map of Hyrule from The Legend of Zelda, and why several of the bosses were also similar. Another attempt at a remake that actually finished production, but never officially released for retail was BS The Legend of Zelda for the Super Famicom and Satellaview add-on. I go way more in depth on this topic in another video I titled 5 Unknown Zelda Games You've Never Played, which talks about 5 Zelda games that were either cancelled during development or fully completed but never released to the public. If you would like, you can check that video out after this one in the description below, and the top pinned comment. But to make it short, this was essentially a 16-bit remake of the original Zelda game, similar to the Super Mario All-Stars cartridge that had 16-bit remakes of the original NES Mario games. However, this Zelda remake was only playable at certain times of the day, and you needed the Satellaview to access it. It was never officially released. Fan-made ROMs can be found online, although they don't quite offer the exact same experience, as every time you would play BS The Legend of Zelda, you would have a completely different experience. Next up, the second quest was a complete afterthought. After completing development for the original quest, the developers realized it only took up half of the NES cartridge's usable memory. Not wanting it to go to waste, they added an entire second quest where many things were changed around. If you name yourself Zelda, you can start the second quest right away, which must have been confusing for the average gamer, you know, the ones that sometimes refer to Link as Zelda. So you can imagine someone's experience going into the second quest from the very beginning by making that simple mistake. So whenever they go to school the next day or talk to their friend at work and they're telling them about this crazy dungeon they went through, their friend is either going to think they're lying or playing a completely different game. The Japanese release features a glitch that allows the player to obtain hearts only accessible through the use of the bridge or raft items by using the whistle parallel to a heart container. After using the whistle, the player is taken off screen over the item, and thus it is collected. This was remedied in the international release, wherein the player simply doesn't collect the container when they fly over it. You can bypass the first locked door in the first dungeon by simply leaving and walking back in. Upon re-entering, the north door of the room is open, and you can claim the key to the east to keep as a spare. In the American version, this trick was also used during the Nintendo World Championships by speedrunners during E3. In the American version, an old man in level 8 tells you that 10th enemy drops the bomb. In the Japanese version, he just tells you to search for the lion key, which is the magical key. The American quote actually has some meaning. Killing 10 enemies in a row, the last one being killed by a bomb, significantly raises the chances of it dropping a bomb, even for red Octoroks, which normally never drop bombs. It is possible, although quite difficult, to make it through the game up until the final boss without a sword. Although once Ganon is reached, the player must have a sword to damage him. The last dungeon is over half the size of the entire overworld. If the entrance to the dungeon were placed directly on Spectacle Rock, the resulting world shape would be an L. This is one of the only Zelda games where Link can only have a maximum of 16 hearts, the other two being Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks. Most Legend of Zelda cartridges are gold, but there are very rare late releases of the game in standard gray cartridges. If you're a fan of this review, please subscribe and comment below to let me know your thoughts. If you would like to support this channel, please consider supporting on Patreon, where you can watch videos like this early and help me create longer videos like the top 10 best and worst of Ocarina of Time, Breath of the Wild, and the top 5 official Zelda games that have either been cancelled or just went unreleased. Finally, a huge thank you to this month's supporters: George Says Hi, Link Uses the Triforce, Transcendent Sacred Courage, Glenn Cassio, Prey Warrior, Victopedia, Rusty Caulfield, Robert W., Amanda Pina, Lunarium, Chris Gasparin, Harris Priest, Lovable Christie, Key of Time 15, Jerome Major, Daryl Quinnen, Furzin 16, Kadron, Magic Tech Review, and The Itch Network.